All right, next one, icing after every workout or icing after games. So this one is still a debate, even at the highest levels. Most NBA players are getting done with their game, putting on ice packs or getting in the ice bath. Overrated. Yeah, I don't think you need it. So could it lead to a faster recovery time? So like you have a back-to-back, I'm going to go get in an ice bath or I'm going to put an ice pack on my knees. Yeah, the studies actually do show that your perceived recovery, there are perceived benefits and that people think that they recover faster the next day. Now, these aren't actual adaptations. So when it comes to like training in the off season, we're looking for an adaptation. We're not looking for faster recovery. In training, we kind of just want to trust the body's natural processes that we've had for millions of years and continue to work really well. A process like inflammation. You just train really, really hard and you feel like your knees are a little bit inflamed right after. That's there for a reason. You think your body was wrong for that? No, it's trying to heal it. So it's getting the healing, the nutrients to the source. We're increasing blood flow, getting nutrients to the source so that it can begin healing. If I ice it, that does decrease the inflammation and it decreases the blood flow, and it's probably going to decrease the amount of nutrients that are getting to the area. So yeah, that's probably not a great thing to do when it comes to actually making an adaptation. I broke down my cartilage and tendons or whatever, my quad muscles. I broke it down in this hard workout. I want it to rebuild. I'm letting the body do its natural thing. I'm not interfering with it personally. The guy that made the whole RICE thing, rest, ice, compression, elevation, later on in his career, he came out and said, by the way, I was wrong on the ice part. Don't ice. Same with like ibuprofen. It's giving you this temporary decrease in inflammation. There's big downsides to ibuprofen, and we don't want to decrease that initial inflammation. That's a natural amount of inflammation. So yeah, I would say overall overrated, but the studies do show perceived benefits in terms of being able to bounce back quicker, especially with ice baths. And so if you have a back-to-back, now it's not really about what's the best for adaptation. It's just, how do I feel good enough to get out there and play tomorrow? And that's very important. A kid who's in a tournament, trying to get ready or they play in the morning, they got to come back in the evening for a championship game. You just want to feel better for that game. Maybe an ice bath after the first game. Sure. I wouldn't still, but the studies do support that there are some perceived benefits and people think that they bounce back quicker. Does it lead to better adaptations and gains long-term? No. But yeah, it can make you feel fresher. Let's just say that. And then there's potentially some nervous system benefits that it could help you get into the parasympathetic, because you get in ice bath, you get this sympathetic response like, oh crap, I'm going to die. This is crazy. And then you stay in there for like 3 to 5 minutes and then you hop out and you get this bounce back from the sympathetic and you kind of bounce back into this very relaxed recovery state that we call the parasympathetic nervous system. And so, yeah, when you're in the parasympathetic nervous system, that is a good thing. However, do we get more parasympathetic? These studies are by itself. This is all you did today. You just did the ice bath. Now, in the real world, I just worked out really, really hard. I just played a game where I was insanely sympathetic already. So already, just after this game, I'm going to have a parasympathetic bounce back, right? Especially you guys have been on our programs. We do breathing right afterwards. Some good nasal breathing that bounces you back into that parasympathetic. But because I already had this high stress scenario that got me sympathetic, I think you're going to be parasympathetic afterwards anyways. And then the ice bath is just doubling down on that same mechanism. So I don't think that you'll get a big parasympathetic benefit from that ice bath. And then again, from the adaptation standpoint, we know that you build muscle better if you don't take an ice bath right after that workout. It can kill those the inflammatory signals that we actually need to start rebuilding muscle. It shuts that off. So if you are going to do it after a workout, I would actually do it later in the day. So you get your workout, you get your lift, and then later in the day, maybe 6 hours later, then you do it. Then at least you didn't kill those initial the the initial kind of signals that the inflammation is sending to your body in order to start to increase that repair process. So is icing underrated or overrated? I would still say overrated, because most people still do it and a lot of people still swear by it. But the mechanisms don't make sense and the science doesn't make sense. And there's a lot of people who also feel worse. When they ice their knees, they feel like their knees do not feel good. Me personally, I trend towards heat. So if I am going to do ice bath, I'm going to try to do like contrast. I do like that more for recovery than just ice. But like my knees feel better if I'm doing sauna a couple days a week. If I can get in the sauna and stretch and kind of go through a full range of motion in the sauna, get a full sweat before a workout, that actually makes me feel way better. And this has been theorized with like vets who like go to the suns later in their career and they just get rejuvenated. The theory is like you're now in warm weather day to day, you're out getting sunlight. That can be really, really good for your joints compared to being in a cold place. I think constantly being cold can kind of stiffen up your joints a bit, and maybe ice is just doubling down on that. That's how I feel personally. So I don't ice my knees ever. I rarely do ice baths unless it's going to be a contrast thing, or I'm just looking for the other benefits. Like I'm just trying to push through something today. I just want to get an ice bath and be calm and breathe so that when I get out the rest of the day, everything else feels easier. Like I think there's some huge general health benefits to doing it occasionally. But from a joint health perspective, I think it's still slightly overrated. All right, guys, that's it for today's podcast. If you need to heal your knee pain or Achilles or ankle or back pain, whatever you got, Durability Code is an unbelievable option. It has transformed thousands of lives. It is a program designed to move better, feel better, improve joint health, get your tendons really durable, get stronger full body. Now, this isn't some soft corrective exercise program. Yes, we have some awesome correctives. However, it is a full body strength training program that gets people really, really strong and really, really athletic as well. Now, it's Durability Code Restore and then Durability Code Prime. Or you could do Elite, which gives you access to both. But we always start with Restore when somebody's in pain or they're just injury prone or they've been away from training for a while. You start with Restore and that gradually ramps you up. I think it is the best gradual ramp up to get people back into athletics. I truly do. I'm not just saying that because I'm biased. It is such an incredible progression between the strength training and the plyometrics at how low of a level we start, and every single exercise has multiple regressions and progressions. So anybody can do it. I don't care if you're young, if you're old, if you're injured, if you're not injured. Durability Code Restore will gradually ramp you up and get you more and more durable every week. Then you go into Durability Code Prime, where health and movement quality is still the number one priority, but we still get you really athletic in that program and get you really strong. So Prime is going to help you handle the forces that you're going to encounter in real sports. Restore is just going to get you feeling better, moving better, so that we can get into a more intense program like Prime.